Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer. Thanks to Tate Benson for this one. Amy activates Arena and chooses her grizzly bears. Nick has two creatures, a grizzly bears of his own, and a plated slagworm. Does Nick choose his target before or after Amy chooses hers? Can Nick choose to have his slagworm fight Amy's grizzly bears? Okay, so with regard to the first question, you might have expected that the answer would depend on whose turn it is, since Magic has a general principle that if two players need to make a decision or take a game action at the same time, the active player goes first, and after that, the non-active players go in turn order. This is known as the AppNap rule. But actually, this situation works a little bit differently. If multiple players need to do something at the same time while a spell is being cast, then as an exception to the AppNap rule, the controller of that spell goes first, followed by the other players. And yes, activating abilities have their own version of these rules, so what I just said still applies to the situation with the arena that we're considering. With this being the case, we can say that since Amy is activating Arena, she will target her creature first, and then Nick will target his creature. To answer the second part of the question, let's take a look at the definition of hexproof provided in the comprehensive rules. Hexproof means that plated slagworm cannot be the target of spells or abilities that Amy controls. Even though Nick is choosing this target, it's still a target of an ability that Amy controls. So hexproof will bar him from choosing plated slagworm, just like it would if Amy were choosing this target herself. If it is not possible for Nick to choose a legal target, for example, because all of his creatures have hexproof, or maybe he just has no creatures at all, then Amy cannot activate this ability with Nick as the opponent. This leaves just one loose end for us to tie up. What if Amy activated this ability, Nick chose his grizzly bears as the target, but then, after that, he played some spell that gave his grizzly bears hexproof too? Well, Amy legally activated this ability, so now when it comes time for it to resolve, the game is going to check to see if all of its targets are still legal. Amy's bear is, but Nick's is not. Since at least one target is still legal, the ability will resolve and do as much as possible. Therefore, Amy's bear will be tapped, but Nick's will not. Regarding the instruction for the two bears to fight, if one of the creatures that will be involved in a fight is an illegal target, then no fight happens, and no damage is dealt. I talked about this interaction in more detail in my video about the fight mechanic generally, so you can check that out if you would like a fuller explanation. Ready for a challenge question to test your understanding? Let's say Amy activates Arena and targets her grizzly bears. Nick has a grizzly bears and a Tomoko honor guard. Can Nick choose his ward creature as the target? If he does, would Amy have to pay too? In case you're interested, I'll put the CR definition for the ward mechanic on screen now. Okay, so ward does not prevent a creature from being targeted by a spell or ability the way hexproof does. So there's no problem with Nick choosing his ward creature as the target for the arena's ability. Even though Nick chose this target, his honor guard did become the target of an ability that Amy controls, which matches the trigger condition of the ward mechanic. So that would trigger. If Amy pays 2, then the arena ability will resolve normally, otherwise it'll be countered. And that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling. Until then, I hope you have a great day.